Hi, I'm Jane Marks, and welcome to this week's show. As you know, each week we address those issues that matter to teens and their families. Well, today's show is particularly special because we are joined by such a dynamic guest who is both a powerhouse in the music industry and a dedicated champion of teens and young adults. A pioneer of hip-hop music, Darryl McDaniels is 1/3 of the iconic rap group Run DMC, which played a critical role in the evolution of hip-hop music in the early 80s. It is fair to say that this hip-hop music that many of our teens enjoy today has been influenced in countless ways by Run DMC. Darryl, it is such an honor to have you on our show today.
Thank you for having me.
And we are just delighted to have someone who has such a fabulous history, and welcome to this area.
Thank you. Glad to be here in Tallahassee.
In Tallahassee. And you know, I'm going to ask you some just very easy questions for you today. Do you still perform?
Yes, I probably do maybe 150 shows a year still.
150 shows a year.
And a lot of people don't know that because they think if you're not on the radio and if you're not on MTV, they think if you're not seen, you don't work. But we tour often.
You tour often. So, can I ask you this? What are some of your favorites?
Places to go?
No, songs.
Oh, some of my favorite songs to do. Tricky, of course. Is huge. Walk This Way.
My favorite. I was singing it all this morning.
King of Rock. And because King of Rock is a lot of people that now know I'm into comic books and literature and literacy and stuff like that. They look back and they go, yeah, we always knew there was some Easter eggs in there. King of Rock is basically a song about believing in yourself, right, regardless of, they could take the buildings away, they could take the money away, they could take everything outside of you away. But the King of Rock, there is none higher. Sucker MC should call me sire. To burn my kingdom, you must use fire. But I won't stop rocking till I decide to retire. So King of Rock is probably
one of your all-time favorites.
One of my all-time favorites.
So let me ask you this. What do you think about the state of hip-hop music today?
Now, every generation of music always has a generation that the young generation creates so their parents can hate it. Now, that's understood, and every music gets that definition. It happened with rock and roll. You know, it sucks, and it's violent, and it's making everybody do, crazy things, but then they started listening to it, and a lot of rock and roll deals about the personal and the social issues that affect the people in the audience. The only thing that's wrong with hip hop today is its lack of responsibility.
Wow.
And it's not about censorship and freedom of speech. We understand people should be free to create what it is, but with hip hop, it has a different responsibility than any other form of entertainment, because it dictates what these people, especially the young people, how they dress, how they act, what they wear, what they smoke, what they drive. It's almost like hip hop dictates how these individuals are supposed to be. So everything that is dominant in hip hop right now, the images, the concepts, and the content of the music, is the very reason we created hip hop in the first place, so the young people didn't have to do those things. And what I mean by that is, hip hop is about telling a story about a gun. But the very next record has to be about not using the gun. Hip hop talks about fun and partying, but the very next record should be about educate yourself, find a job, find a career, be nice to other people. You don't gotta be disrespectful. Profanity isn't the most powerful use of the English language. You know what I'm saying? What happened in America over the last 20 years, I would say, or 25 years, is negativity is being used as a false sense of power. And it's affecting our political leaders, it's affecting our entertainment, it's affecting our social structure, structure, and it's affecting the attitude of the young people. People are looking and listening to hip hop thinking, oh, if I'm not mean, negative, if I'm not in a gang, if I don't sell drugs, if I don't have I'm not cool. No. Hip hop was created by individuals that, number one, don't want to sell drugs no more, don't want to end up in jail no more. By individuals who say, yo, the streets ain't it, educate yourself and you can become and go anywhere that you want to be. So there's a lack of responsibility among the people who are dominating hip hop right now.
Well, as you can tell, we are listening to a living legend. Stay tuned, we'll be right back. Welcome back to our conversation with hip hop legend and pioneer Darryl McDaniels. Darryl, many people have no idea that you have dedicated much of your life to championing children and teens. And there's a reason for that, because you've got some special experiences. So I want you to talk a little bit about that.
Since day one, I've always been in situations where, regardless of how many obstacles exist, there's always adversity in our communities. But from day one, where there was darkness, death, and destruction, I also knew there was imagination and creativity. Imagination, creativity, and adventure and education are the things that allow us to transform our situations. So for all young people, your situation doesn't define who you are. Your situation is your situation. But if you empower yourself with education, positivity, and put yourself in situations where everybody who's telling you to do good is telling you that for a reason, you will be able to achieve all your dreams and go above and beyond that. Well, what made me even go harder outside of just having hip hop as a thing, expression, right, to give me a voice. Right. I was a shy little kid growing up in my neighborhood, like every other little kid across the world, you know what I'm saying? Trying to figure out who I am and how do I fit in. It was rock and roll, and it was the legendary soul music and funk and R&B artists that I grew up listening because of my mother and father, who are huge influences on us on how to represent and present ourselves. But I was 35 years old when I found out that I was adopted.
Wow.
Then I found out I was a foster kid, yeah. And that had a huge impact on me realizing why all of this King of Rock, Run DMC, My Adidas, Walk This Way, It's Tricky stuff happened in the first place. What I am is an example to anybody, especially our young people, that regardless of your situation, there's a skill, there's a talent, there's a thought and an idea that is only yours, that if you allow that to be put on the forefront of your existence, no matter how bad, dark, or desperate your situation is, you can go above and beyond anything that you possibly can imagine. So from day one, I was always a kid with an imagination that combined it with education that allowed this incredible transformation.
You know, it's interesting because I had a chance to read your book, and by the way, I could just say just multiple things about it, because I've worked with kids over the last 53 years, and I can see how transformative it is. But I want to know how the idea came to you, Darryl's Dream. It is a wonderful book.
Well, everybody has a dream. Especially our young people, especially our little kids, they have a dream. I want to be this, I want to be that.
These magical dreams.
Yeah, everybody has a dream, and I'm living, breathing proof that dreams come true. But I had to figure a way to communicate that message to the children. So this is what we thought of. Our environment as adults is our family, our friends, and our career or our work environment. And in those environments is fear, doubt, confusion, and anxiety, right? And I said, okay, if we have that in our careers as adults, and then The college kids have it in their college, and then the high school kids have it in high school. The little kids' environment is what? Their homes, their backyards, their blocks, their neighborhoods, their classrooms, and the schoolyards. And in those situations is everything that we experience as adults. Anxiety, fear, confusion, self-doubt, and all of that. So I was like, how do I communicate the so-called mature idea of how do you compete and get through adverse situations? Let me take Darryl McDaniels, the mighty king of rock, that their mothers and fathers, and I've been around so long, their grandmothers and grandfathers
grandparents,
know about
that would be me,
exactly.
Right.
You know, the mighty king of rock who told the world how to walk this way in their Adidas in this tricky universe that we live in. Let me take Darryl, that everybody knows from the videos and from the albums and the big tours and the movies, and put him in third grade just like the third graders. So now what the kids are seeing, they're seeing progress.
Transformation also.
They're seeing the transfer. Oh, that successful person that my grandfather and my mother and my uncles loved was once in the third grade like me. So obviously they'll be able to not see the greatness in Darryl. Darryl's dream is not seeing the greatness of the kid in third grade who's now DMC. It allows them to see the greatness that is in themselves. I am a representation of them. All their fears, all their anxieties, everything that they're going through and about to go through, I went through too, but so did their mothers, so did their fathers, so did their grandmothers, so did their aunts and uncles. So it's talking to children in a presentation that they can relate to.
Okay, welcome back. Well, we're here with Darryl McDaniels, 1/3 of Run DMC, and he's talking about this fabulous book. But I think for parents that are watching today's show, what would you like for them to take away from this book?
Communication with your children. Do not think that these kids have to wait to have mature conversations about who they are, what they want to be, and how they feel. It's about addressing their feelings now, because if you don't, the anxiety, the fear, the intimidation from the bully is going to be a trauma that they're going to carry as they get older. They're going to carry it into young kids, into adolescence, into preteen, and all the way up if you never did it. It's always about addressing the feelings of your children at 1 year old. They will tell you how they feel, and a million times they're right. But the whole essence of the book is for two things. To let our children know they are perfect just the way they are. You know, the bullies tease them. They get picked on because they have freckles, or their hair's a certain color, or the color of their skin, or the funny way that they dress, or the shoes that they like. I tell kids the coolest kid in the whole school is the kid that don't want to wear Air Jordans because of Michael Jordan, and I even put myself in it because I don't have an ego, and don't want to wear Adidas because of Run DMC. And they'll look at me and be like really? We have to give our children permission to be themselves.
To be their unique self.
Their unique self. Social media is bad because our young people are looking at social media, and it's not about, the things that they see. It's not about the cars and the money. What they're seeing, we have a self-esteem issue with our young kids. They're seeing all of these people on social media, and they think this: if I'm not that, I'm worthless. That's the number one issue. If the kid wants to do ballet, if the kid wants to play violin, if all the weird stuff, it's the kid's power. You know what I'm saying? And we got to let the children understand it's okay not to want to do what all the other kids do. But a lot of times these kids are changing who they are. They were put here for a very specific reason. If it wasn't meant for the kids to be here in the condition or situation that they're in, then they wouldn't have been born. So Darryl's dream is about letting these children know You are perfect just the way you are. And because of who you are, that is the thing that's going to allow you to be successful. I got teased, bullied, and picked on because I wore glasses. I got teased, bullied, and picked on because all I wanted to do was read comic books and draw. And I got teased, bullied, and picked on because I was a kid. I loved the first day of school. I loved new notebooks and new textbooks because I knew in the pages of those books was some information that was going to empower me. But all of that wasn't perceived as cool. But everything that everybody thought was wrong with me, I'm DMC in the place to be, D's for doing it all of the time, M's for the rhymes that are all mine, C is for cool, cool as can be. And Ron would ask me, why you wear those glasses? And I told the whole world, so I can see. And that was so powerful that I got teased and bullied and picked on because of my glasses, but I talked about them, not ashamed. If we remove guilt and shame from our kids, nothing's impossible for them. So that was so cool for me that people that don't even need glasses now want to wear them. The kids have to see themselves with a place to be and exist in this universe. And that's what Darryl's dream is about.
You know, let's face it, one of the things that you mentioned was that we now experience a culture of negativity and a culture of hate. And it's like this particular book is like a game changer. Wouldn't you agree?
I'm finding out that it really, really is a game changer, because now kids don't have to ask for permission to be themselves. The stress and the anxiety comes for them trying to be things that they are not, because they think it's okay not to like what they like, not to read what they read, not to want to dress the way that they want to dress. This empowers the child to have the freedom to be themselves. And that's very, very hard in this generation, even for us adults. So this book is giving children the permit. You mean I can do and read and eat and dance and listen to and create what I want to, regardless of what people say? See, the bullies, I make kids understand, you don't have a problem. The bully has a problem. There's something the bully don't like about him or herself. So the kids are realizing, wow, I can feel comfortable in my own skin. And that goes deep for especially children of color.
Oh, absolutely. But you know what? The other thing I liked about the book was this. There was also a message for the bully.
Yes.
Yeah, and yes. I picked up on that.
Yes. When I speak to kids, I tell the kids, we got to help the bullies. The bullies is good. There's something, and you're a therapist, right. There's something at home that is making these children act that way. And they're taking it out on somebody else. And that's a big problem. When I speak to a lot of kids, I realize that these children only have 3 options if nobody's addressing the problem that these kids are. You don't know what's going on in the home. You don't know what's going on for that kid, the kid that is the bully in the school. You don't know what's going on in the neighborhood to that kid. You don't know. So we got to find ways to make it easy for our children to talk about their feelings. The whole idea of Darryl's dream is we need to empower the children with the skills that will allow them to navigate life. Let's not wait till they graduate high school to empower them with the freedom to be themselves and do the right thing. Let's start when they're able to comprehend right or wrong. And if you look at the book, the bully comes up to Darryl. The bully and them, they hated the poetry thing. But then they saw how incredible Darryl was doing the poetry. Then they noticed everybody in the audience was loving this poetry thing. So the bully, Charlie, comes up to Darryl and says, oh, Darryl, that poetry thing is really cool. Can you teach me how to do poetry like you? And what does Darryl say? I will teach you, but on one condition. You can't do it like me. You got to do it like Charlie would do it. So that changed Charlie's life. So we got to allow children to be who they want to be, create what they want, give them the freedom to be themselves so that they can help each other when the adults ain't around.
We're here with our last few minutes with the famous, very, very famous Darryl McDaniels. And Darryl, having visited high schools across the country, what is your hope for these generation coming up?
Well, basically, I want the kids to understand right now they have the potential to solve every problem that this world is going through. That's why we created this hip hop. Hip hop didn't just create rappers. I want these high school kids to understand they're the next generation of journalists, doctors, lawyers, scientists, playwrights, directors, composers, novel writers, script writers. They only see, oh, I could be an athlete, or I could be in a gang, or I could be a rapper. No, we don't need no more rappers. We got too many rappers. I want them to realize they can be the CEOs of the labels instead of just being signed to a label. I want our young girls to see the potential to be fully clothed, running these companies, not just dancing and acting for them. I want these children to understand science. All of the pandemic problems that we have, they're the cures. They have the cures for all of the pandemics and the cancers and stuff like that. I want this generation at this young age to start utilizing I want this generation at this young age to start utilizing the gifts that they have in them now. They don't have to wait till they're 30 years old. They can start now.
You know, you're going to continue to go out throughout the country. People are going to hear this story. But you know what we really want to happen is for you to go out and buy this book. This book, Darryl's Dream, is truly an inspiring book, and as you can see, the author, you know, now these are all old school terms, right. Off the chain. Now you know,
but old school is not a time period; it's a mind state. How you artistically and creatively present yourself in a way that can spread information that will evolve and have a transformation to everybody that sees you, hears you, or just sits next to you. That's the gift of hip hop, and I want the kids to understand that.
Thank you so much for joining us. It has been an absolute pleasure.